Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. I'm Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms, and the background music is provided compliments of Laurel Lake, I guess. The invocation this morning is by Jim Young.
Good morning, Rotarians. Can everybody hear me? Well, let us pray. As Rotarians, we are thankful for this day that you've given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties and each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Amen.
Thanks, Jim. I think we're going to wait just a second for the Pledge of Allegiance.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like the Swedish access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you can save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike, you know.
Don't forget. Yeah, go to Geico. Okay. Lead us in the pledge and the four-way test this morning, Bob Cramp.
Welcome back. Well, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four-way test. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will build goodwill and better friendships?
fourth will
Will
be
be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Do you want to try and sing over this, or?
We can sing that loud.
Okay.
We're gonna sing
Dick
loud this
Pearsall's going to lead us.
morning. Let's see if we can have the words first. Maybe. I saw it earlier. There we go. Okay, here we go. We really need this loud now. Okay. Dashing through the snow on a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, oh, dashing all the way. Bells on top and ring, ringing spirits fly. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Ho, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. That'll show you all later.
Thank you, Dick. Good work. And now our president, David Basil.
Thank you, Ron. Good morning, fellow Rotarians. Good morning. This is a great day. This is the Wednesday when I always start counting down the days to spring training.
Bottom line is nobody that's presently in the building knows how to turn it more than quickly. So we're just going to have to push until they find somebody who can get it over.
Okay. For those, the background music, there's nobody in the building who knows how to turn it off. So we are going to have to wait for them to scare somebody up. Chris Barker, we have a number of guests this morning.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. We have a lot of guests with us today. I apologize in advance if I missed someone who came in when I wasn't standing duty. And if you would please stand when we announce your name, I'd appreciate it. We have Pete Guthrie, guest of Ed Sogan. Thank you. And then Ashley, thank you for joining us today to help us this month with the AV, and she's from our Hudson Service Learning class. And then Jamie Sutphin, Inky Jr., Jimmy Sutphin's son, thank you so much for joining us. And Sharon Blackford, who played she was Mrs. Claus for us. Thank you so much. And then Rob Kallstrom, guest of Gail Royster. Thanks, Rob. Nice seeing you. We have John Hopkins, guest of Mike Swain. And thank you for joining us. And Brad Jagger, he is a Rotarian with the Stowe Monroe Falls Rotary. Thank you for joining us today. And Clint Samuel, this is your 4th meeting. Thank you so much. Look forward to having you as a member. And Pat Myers, Assistant Governor. And I think Bob Haydorn just walked in as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It should be a wonderful meeting. Thank you. Oh, one more. I'm so sorry. I missed one. Our little friend back there, Henry brought his mom, Claire Monda, to join us today. So thank you also for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and a special welcome to all of our guests this morning. We hope that you enjoy the meeting as much as we enjoy having you here. Next up, fall fundraiser update from Tom Page.
We had a flurry of activity, and it's still coming in. You probably think I was lying to you yesterday when I said the number of roses that we sold were like 62 and about 67 caramel corn. Right now we're at 140 dozen roses and 155 and more coming in. Don't stop. Keep it up. Important person. Larry, stand up, please. That's where, if you haven't turned in your money/order forms, make sure you see him, because yours truly has to turn in some numbers for the roses sometime no later than tomorrow, okay? So, appreciate all the help. I'll get out of your way, and I hope Bobby D is going to be in the house. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Next up, we have an update on Santa on the Green from Ed Sogan and a special presentation as well. Ed?
We had a great Saturday. The weather cooperated. We were able to have Santa on the Green at the gazebo, and we had 24 Rotarians turn out for helping with setup and helping run the event. Our Santa's elves over here, Pete Guthrie and Sharon Blackford, participated in regards to the event, and we had 120 tickets passed out and approximately 360 kids that visited Santa during the 6 hours that we were out there. Hot chocolate was provided by Hudson's, so if you do stop by there for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, make sure that you thank the staff there for helping us. We had 8 gallons of hot chocolate, and we were down to 0 when the event was over, so it was great that way. The final people that visited Santa on the Green was a wedding couple from the church on the Green and their wedding party. So Santa and Mrs. Claus got to be in the picture with the bride and groom and their wedding party. So that went great. Next year, we're not going to have sign up today, but next year it's going to be on December 2nd. And we're looking forward again to another one. We took over in 2001, and Jimmy and Sharon were the two that got us on board in regards to hosting that event. And Sharon was the one that came up with the idea of having Mrs. Claus accompany Santa. So we appreciate that, and we're certainly classed up the event. Pete Guthrie enjoyed the ride on the fire engine, except he didn't want to get off. He wanted to keep going around town, so we're trying to work on that. We have a special presentation, and I'd like to invite Jamie and Sharon to come up along with David. Sharon did a great job with a picture of Jimmy Sutpin, and we'd like to present that to the Sutpin family at this time.
Jimmy.
The picture says Santa's favorite elf.
Here we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great.
All right.
Jimmy remains in our hearts and our prayers. Thanks. Oh, yeah. We had a little guy in line. Most of you realize that we pass out tickets now, and so that happens at 8 o'clock to 8:15. I think we passed just about every ticket within a half hour, and that's 120. And there was a family standing in line with their ticket, and another family came up without one for walk-up, and the little boy gave the ticket to the other family that didn't have one. So that was pretty special. And the other thing that happens is at the end, we normally from 2 to 3 have a little bit of a slowdown. So we have a couple of families walk up, and it was a constant line right up to the end at 3 o'clock. So we appreciate everybody's help on that, and look forward again to continue the tradition. Thanks.
Thanks, Ed. For those who didn't participate this year, who haven't participated in the past, it really is a lot of fun. I've done it for a number of years. It's a lot of fun. And this year, as in some past years, the Christmas spirit was certainly at evidence when that little boy gave up his ticket to another family whose son, as I understand, was having a little bit of a meltdown when he thought he wasn't going to see Santa. Santa, I believe, gave him a gift card to Hudson's, yep. Next up, speaker introduction for today. Gail, if you would please do the honors.
My pleasure, Mr. President. Thank you very much. Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning. On this wonderful occasion, we again have a wonderful speaker, and we're all looking forward to him very much. Bob DiBiasio is finishing his 37th season with the Cleveland Indians. Started in 1979 as assistant PR director. Was promoted to his current position, Senior Vice President of Public Affairs, in 2011. He currently serves as president of the Cleveland Indians Charities. He's an honorary member of the executive board of the Boys and Girls Club of Cleveland and the board of the Cleveland Baseball Federation. He also serves as the athletic advisory board at Notre Dame College and the board of directors of the Bob Feller Act of Valor Foundation. Most of you probably know Bob is also the host of the television show, the Indians Alumni Roundtable. That is aired on FSN Sports Time Ohio. He also has Tribe Tales, kind of a Where Are They Now segment that airs pregame every Sunday on the Indians Radio Network. His awards include recipient of the prestigious Robert O. Fischel Award for Public Relations Excellence in Major League Baseball, being inducted into the Lakewood High Distinguished Hall of Fame, and being named Public Relations Director for the Sports Illustrated's Dream Team. Bob graduated from Lakewood High, earned his degrees in both journalism and education from Ohio Wesleyan. While at Ohio Wesleyan, Bob was sports editor of the school paper, the student sports information director, and he did color on both football and basketball broadcasts. His master's degree in journalism is from The Ohio State University. Bob resides in Solon, had a little challenge parking because we have such a wonderful crowd here at Laurel Lake today. He and his wife Penny have a daughter, Julie, and a son, Patrick. Let's give a warm Rotary welcome to the Vice President for the champion Cleveland Indians.
Thank you, Gail. That was more than you needed to know. Good morning, everybody. A year ago, I stood before you at this time, and we hadn't signed Mike Napoli yet and hadn't got into the off-season moves, and tried to talk you into the yearly hope and faith that is all involved in off-season propaganda, as they say. You know, we're going to sit here and do it again today, but we have a little bit easier task, having coming off an American League Championship Series, and obviously Game 7 of the World Series, one of the most incredible World Series by many accounts, one of the greatest Game 7s in the history of baseball. So, you know, we're extremely excited. Again, last year I stood up here and told you how confident we were about who we are as a baseball team, and that doesn't change. You know, we now have 4 straight winning seasons. Of those 4 seasons, we've been in the postseason twice. Obviously, again, coming off an incredible run in October. November didn't treat us too well. November, we lost Game 6 and Game 7, but the month of October, we were pretty darn good. So we got to make sure baseball changes that schedule and keeps the World Series in October. This time of year, you know, we're trying to just add parts to the ball club. We're going to try to find out whether Mr. Napoli is going to stick around, and if that domino doesn't fall, then we have some issues that we're going to have to figure out at first base, what we're going to do in the outfield a little bit. But we don't have to go find a bullpen. We don't have to go find starting pitching, maybe one addition to the starting rotation. As we learned this year, you can never have enough pitching, especially after a long 6-month journey, and you're fortunate to get into the postseason. You need that depth. That's where it really will show its strength. So little shopping list for Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff, our baseball guys. Not like many teams out there who are looking for a number 1, number 2, number 3 starter, looking to see who might be their closer. Guys going off and spending astronomical numbers, money on various players. Again, we feel real good about who we are, and we need to accomplish the things that we did a year ago. The same things that have given us an opportunity to be successful for 4 straight years. And first and foremost, and again, I stood up here last year and I told you the 2 things we needed to accomplish. The first was we had to get off to a good start. We couldn't dig ourselves a hole, fight out of it, which we had the 3 previous seasons, to get to a winning record, but we just had to dig out of a hole that was unnecessary because of the talent that we have. So this year we got off to a good start. We had a .500 record in April, started to play decent ball in May. Next thing you know, we're winning 14 games in a row, which really was an incredible separator for us. And so that was number 1 on the list, that we had to get off to a decent start. Not only for the guys in the clubhouse, but to continue to get that fan interest early in the season, that this was a team that had a chance to win it all. The second thing we needed to do was win within our division. The last 3 years, we had a winning record. But we didn't have a winning record amongst our own division. And so we didn't win our division to get into the postseason. The easiest path to the postseason, obviously, is becoming one of the 3 division leaders in your league, so that you have the automatic path. You're not playing that 1-game playoff that we did a few years ago, which no one likes getting involved in what is a Game 7 to start the postseason for you. That's a little hectic and crazy and nerve-wracking, and you'd rather just go out, if you're going to be that good of a baseball team, go win your division and be able to sit in and get ready for a 5-game series, which we were able to do this year. So we had the best win-loss record within a division of any team in the American League. So that put us in the position. So those 2 things are going to be the same challenge we have in 2017, is to make sure that we get off to a decent start, we don't dig ourselves a hole, and we play strong against our division. It's interesting this offseason what is happening within our division. The White Sox just traded their best pitcher to the Boston Red Sox for a number of prospects. So they might be telling people they're in a rebuild mode, which will be interesting for the Chicago White Sox. Kansas City Royals have already lost through free agency one of their starting pitchers, and also their DH, Kendrys Morales. So they've got some things to work on. The Detroit Tigers, you hear all the words coming out of Detroit that they're going to try to get into a full-blown rebuild because of the cost of their team and the fact that they have struggled the last couple of years. Be interesting to see what happens with them. So there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of what's going on in our division to stay strong. We have the core group of our baseball team signed through the early parts of 2020. That is an eternity in the game of baseball. So you're going to see the guys that are, again, the core group of this baseball team, the Roberto Perez's, Jan Gomes, Jason Kipnis, Francisco Lindor, who is becoming an absolute superstar in our game today. Jose Ramirez and Michael Brantley and Tyler Naquin and Corey Kluber and Carlos Carrasco and Danny Salazar and Andrew Miller for the next 2 years, Cody Allen for the next 3-4 years. That is a core group that you can win with. And we just need to keep adding the pieces, parts to that, either through our farm system, through trades, through free agency signings that will keep us on this winning path. The one thing that we did this year that I think Terry Francona is most proud of is the fact that we only lost 3 games in a row. Was the longest losing streak of the Cleveland Indians all season long. That was the shortest losing streak of any team in all of baseball. The leadership of Terry Francona does not allow things to unravel during a baseball season. A 3-game losing streak can turn into a 7-game, 8-game losing streak if you don't have the right leadership, if you don't have the right temperament in that clubhouse. I think he was most proud of the fact that we won 14 in a row and only lost 3 in a row as our longest losing streak, because that's really a sign of resiliency. It's a sign of toughness of your baseball team, that they don't want things to unravel, that they stay together through difficult times and rally around the team instead of me. And that's, again, one of the incredible strengths of our skipper, Terry Francona. I don't know if you saw it in the papers, but one of the examples of what a remarkable leader this guy is, if you remember, in Toronto, we had a game where Mr. Trevor Bauer was bleeding all over the mound, and his jersey and his uniform, and he chose that night to wear the midnight navy blue uniform because he knew that blood could hide on navy blue more than it could on gray, but he forgot he was wearing gray pants, and the blood just dripping down on his pant leg. And as Terry Francona walks out to the mound after the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays finally goes up to the umpire and says, we just can't let this go on any longer. This kid's struggling. The reason being, you can't add foreign substances to a baseball. Other than Gaylord Perry was allowed to do that. But you're not allowed to add foreign substances to make the ball do things. It's illegal. It's not fair. It's against the rules. Well, blood is a foreign substance on a baseball, so you can't add that to the mix. And so the manager of the Blue Jays actually, again, was as nice as he possibly could be, accommodating to where Trevor, as you can see, just the blood gushing out of his finger, finally told the ump, look, enough's enough. We got to get this kid out of there. Terry appreciated what the Toronto manager, his patience and all this. But as Terry's walking to the mound and having to take Trevor out of the game, they're standing on the mound in Toronto at the Rogers Center, and everybody's heads down. Roberto Perez and Napoli and Kipnis, Ramirez and Lindor is not smiling, which is normally the case with him. It's one of the very few moments in all of the season where you didn't see a smile on that kid's face. So their heads are down because all of a sudden, here we go again. Carlos Carrasco was gone. Danny Salazar was gone. Now we have young man Trevor Bauer, who was playing with his drone and cut his finger, and now he's gone. Even though we had a lead in the series, Terry got this sense that, possibly this woe is me might be setting in a little bit. But the one thing that Terry Francona can do, I think, better than any manager I've seen prior to him that I've had the pleasure of working with, and in my 37 years with the Indians, and I was the PR chief 1 year with the Atlanta Braves. So in 38 years of doing this in Major League Baseball, I've worked with 15 different managers. Terry's ability to use humor as a leadership skill is remarkable. So they're standing on the mound, everybody's heads down. Excuse me. And finally, Terry, to himself, as I asked him after the game, he's like, well, I've got to do something here to pick the spirits up a little bit, get the guys thinking, hey, we're leading this series. We win another game, and this is done. We're good. We're rolling. We're off to the World Series. Let's see if we can get this one. It's going to be a little tougher tonight. You don't normally win a lot of postseason games when your starter's knocked out in the first inning for whatever reason. So he looks up on the scoreboard. And for some reason, Canadians are crazy for 50-50 raffles. And in the Rogers Center, during the postseason, the 50-50 raffle, you could walk home with close to $100,000 as the winner of the raffle. At the point that they're standing on the mound, it's already at $82,000. So Terry looks up at the scoreboard, and he looks at Mike Napoli, and he goes, "Nap, look, that thing's up to $82,000. How the heck do we get in on that thing?" And Nap goes, "Yeah, we got to do that. We got to try to do that." So now I think it was Danny Otero who came in to replace Trevor Bauer. I may have that wrong, but I think that's who it was. He's running in from the bullpen, and these guys are on the mound laughing, as Trevor Bauer left guys on base, and he understands Bauer's got the, thank you, sir. Thank you, appreciate that. So he has this ability to just lightheartedness, get guys to just perk back up, have a good feeling. The other one that really was not a turning point, I wouldn't say, but it was a moment in the season, September 17th. We were playing the Detroit Tigers, Saturday afternoon. And Justin Verlander's on the mound, and he is just dealing on us. He's in one of his stretches where Justin Verlander's the premier pitcher in baseball. And Tigers are starting to make a little run at us. So it's a big weekend where we could put them aside and go through the end of the September knowing that we have won our division. And that's the game that Carlos Carrasco in the first inning gets a line drive off his hand and breaks his hand. And same scenario. Terry, when he steps over that third baseline, he can look at Carlos's hand and realized, oh no, he broke his hand as he could see his fingers. As he walks out, gets the ball from Carlos, he leaves. All the guys now are sitting there going, uh-oh, we're facing Verlander today. We have another pitcher who is now gone. Paul Hoynes ends up writing that article about how this is marked down September 17th as the date that the Cleveland Indians season ended because Carlos Carrasco is now gone. Danny Salazar is gone. Nobody can win in the postseason without a number 2 or 3 starter. Mark this date down. Well, Terry gets out on the mound and he sees the same thing. Guys' heads down. They're bummed out. They got kicked in the gut. We all felt it. Hoynesy was just the one with a laptop in front of him writing it. But most of us felt that kick to the gut that, boy, how are we going to get through the rest of this season and the postseason with, our number 1 starter, and then you have to go to your number 4 guy when you're probably going to face some pretty good offenses, and we ended up in Boston and Toronto facing some terrific offensive baseball teams. So we all felt that kick in the gut, and Terry standing on the mound, same thing, heads down, all the guys, and Terry decides, all right, we got to do something here again, So turns to Roberto Perez and says, "Kid, I'll give you $1,000 cash when this game is over that you get," again, Danny Otero's coming in from the bullpen. He goes, "You get Danny Otero through the next 2 innings, because when I walk back in the dugout, I'm telling Mickey Callaway, our pitching coach, to call the bullpen and tell every one of those guys to be ready, because they're each going to pitch an inning today, because we're going to win this damn game." And now all of a sudden Knapp says a few, and we're being taped so I can't use those words, says a few words, gets the guys fired up on the field. We go and win and beat Justin Verlander 1-0, which sort of put the Tigers away It was one of the most remarkable baseball games you'll ever witness. We set a record for the number of pitchers used in a 9-inning shutout game. It was remarkable. Excuse me. But again, Terry Francona using humor as a leadership skill that he does better than anybody. He's got this incredible knack of making people understand the team comes first. In professional athletics, where you're an independent contractor, basically, you're a part of a team, but you are an independent contractor signing contracts for your own livelihood. To get guys to buy in every single day when you come to the clubhouse, the focus is, what can I do today to help my team win? It's true in business, it's true in baseball, it's true in every walk of life. If you have that mentality, you're going to be successful. I think the one person who epitomized that more than anybody all season long was Jose Ramirez. Early in the year, Jose Ramirez came to the ballpark not knowing if he was going to play second base, shortstop, third base, left field, bat first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. But he just came in, did his job, and did it well. And again, he epitomized what that, and then when we needed him to step in and play third base on an everyday basis, he was willing to do that. And again, whatever was asked of him. So we're sitting in a good spot, obviously. We feel real good about who we are as a baseball team. Again, we're coming off 4 winning seasons in a row. We're coming off one of the most remarkable runs this franchise has seen. You know, it was our 6th World Series. The TV ratings were just astronomical. Radio ratings through the roof. Again, people, all the pundits that cover our sport, our industry for a livelihood, saying that one of the greatest World Series ever, and what an incredible Game 7 it was. And our guys deserve this little rest that they're going to get. But we're only, 116 days till opening day. We're only, I think, 60-some days till pitchers and catchers get out on the field on Valentine's Day. So we're ready to go. You know, the sting is still there, as Mike Hargrove is fond of saying. When people ask me, you know, if I've gotten over that extra inning Game 7 loss in 1997 yet, he says, as soon as it happens, I'll let you know. Well, it's the same with this past year. We're still not over that game in 97. It's going to take a long time for the sting to get out of losing in extra innings in Game 7 in 2016. But the sting will fade when the guys get back on the field in Goodyear, Arizona, and we're ready to play, defend our championship, and see if we can get back to the postseason and finish this thing off. You know, there's about 30, I think there's 33. I asked our head of HR just the other day, because I was curious about this. I don't know why I think in these terms. But I was thinking about how many of us in the Cleveland Indians front office have endured back-to-back World Series appearances, losing in extra innings in Game 7. No other team in baseball has had that. No front office, no players, no scouts. Nobody has had to endure that other than the Cleveland Indians. This small group of Cleveland, and there's 33 of us, counting our scouts worldwide, baseball guys, trainers, strength coaches that have been around, number of us. Yeah, pardon me? And the fans as well. And the fans as well. So nobody's had to deal with that other than us, and it's crazy. So one of these days we're going to figure out how to win this thing in 9 innings, and that'll be a fun way to go. But we're excited. You know, again, we've got this core group of players that you're getting to know, and it's led by the new face of the franchise, Francisco Lindor, who just won his first of what will probably be many Gold Gloves this offseason. You know, he's an all-star He was voted as the top defensive player with the metrics that the analytics they use now. There's a Major League Baseball now gives out the top defensive player of the year award in both leagues. The first baseman for the Cubs received that award, and also Francisco Lindor. So we got a kid who loves playing, as you can see with that smile on his face, and we couldn't be more proud to have him be the face of this franchise. Business side, we're not renovating anything in the ballpark. We've done enough of that for the last few years, but right now, the focus is selling tickets, obviously, getting those season tickets going, get that group back together so you have the best seats in the house at the best prices. We're selling 6-packs, so if you love fireworks, you can buy 6 fireworks on Friday nights or 6 giveaways on Saturday, 6 kids' fun days on Sunday. Great stocking stuffers, if you have that in mind, looking for something to give the Tribe fan and your family something fun. They start as low as $86 for 6 games. So you can go online and check that out. And our tea shop is open with a lot of World Series stuff, so that's always fun, especially for the kids coming home from college that may not have been able to enjoy watching the games live and grabbing the merchandise with the World Series logo on it. So we have all of that available for you. That's online as well. So can't wait to get it started. As I said, we're not that far away. A shortened off season, which we will take every year, and can't wait to get started. With that, let's throw it open to who wants to be the first. Yes, sir.
Hey, Bob. So I was grateful and lucky enough to win tickets to Game 7 about 6 p.m. the day of.
Oh, my goodness.
But I was not expecting that I was going to have to go to the game and work so hard as a fan. So what I'm talking about is I think that there were more Cubs fans in the ballpark.
Yeah.
How would you, is that something you could prevent? And is that the case in other stadiums during the World Series?
No, this was absolutely a unique scenario, I think. Obviously, if the Los Angeles Dodgers would have beaten the Chicago Cubs in the National League Championship Series, you don't see that many Dodgers fans making the trek to Cleveland. Certainly, you don't get the amount of money that Cubs fans were willing to pay. I mean, the reports normally aren't always true when the media say somebody spent X amount of money for 4 seats and they exaggerate, but it was true that a gentleman bought 4 seats behind the Cubs dugout for Game 7 for $98,000. You know, couple issues with that. We can't not sell tickets when they're online to people. Whoever gets in on them, and there you go. One of the ways that we wanted to avoid having the visiting team, whoever it was going to be, when we put the tickets on sale, was to take care of our own season ticket holders. The foundation of our franchise is our season ticket base. And we wanted to give them, in this unique scenario that we're now into the World Series, an opportunity to say thank you, and here's some extra seats for you to purchase. If you're not in a company, the way season tickets work is this table here would have season tickets, and you'd share games. You'd each go to 12 games a year and take your family, friends, whomever. World Series time comes, you have to split up games. For example, when the postseason comes, I had friends who went through this scenario. Had tickets for Game 5 of the American League Division Series. Never got played. We swept the Red Sox. So he didn't get to go to a postseason game. Had Game 6 and 7 for the American League Championship Series. We won in 5. He didn't still. He's a season ticket holder, and still hadn't gone to one postseason game because his games weren't being played. We understand that scenario. So we went to our season ticket holders and said, look, you have 4 seats, we'll give you an opportunity to buy 4 more. So that more of your group, because we only know who the ticket holder of record is, but everybody in that group's paying the same amount of money to be a partner in the group. So we want to take care of our season ticket holders, giving them an extra number of seats so that they can all experience the postseason as a thank you for being a season ticket holder. That bit us, because those were the seats that were sold. Now, can you blame somebody when you really get down to it? I was just having lunch yesterday with a media guy, and he said he was at the ballpark, Game 6 of the World Series, sitting next to a Cubs fan who in the 8th inning on his phone went to StubHub, and there was on StubHub, they were sitting in our season tickets section, somebody selling 1 seat for $9,000, and the guy bought it. And my buddy sitting next to me goes, you realize you just spent $9,000 on a baseball game? He goes, well, yeah, I mean, when am I ever going to do this ever again? And so if you're the one selling them, how do you sit there? And we all said, look, you're a Cleveland Indians fan. You got to come to Game 7 of the World Series, but you're a young family, and next thing you know, you have 4 seats and $24,000 laid in your, you can help pay off college, you can help in your I mean, how do you say no to that? I mean, that's the troublesome part, because it hurt. It absolutely hurt seeing all the Cubs fans. When Rajai Davis hit the home run, though, we made that place shake, didn't we?
Yeah.
Tribe fans made that place shake. It was one of the most dramatic things I'd ever experienced in my life, and I'm going to name drop here for a moment. I was sitting in a suite with my family watching the game, and Mike Hargrove and his family, and also Jimmy Tomey and Travis Hafner and Baerga and Kenny Lofton were all in there. And as Raja hit that home run, you would have, guys like Tomey and Baerga, Lofton, Hafner were jumping up and down like they were 3 years old. It was amazing to me, because there's guys who in World Series have hit big home runs, have done the same thing. So you think they'd be a little jaded and go, wow, that's pretty cool. He came through in the clutch or whatever. But they were jumping, just like everybody in the ballpark, jumping up and down and just absolutely in awe of that incredible moment. We're trying to figure out through StubHub and a few others, how do you stop that sort of thing? I just think it was one of those odd alignments, unless we get back to the World Series against them again, although it won't be the first time, since 1908 for them and that kind of thing. It won't be 70 years since they got to the World Series. I happen to be in Wrigley Field for all 3 games, and I'll tell you, Friday night's game when Josh Tomlin shut them down and we won 1-0 was the most intense, incredible baseball game I had ever experienced in my life. And I have to admit that walking out of there wearing the Cleveland Indians stuff, the fans were awesome. The Cubs fans, would give you a high five and say, good job tonight. I mean, I don't know if they were just in awe of being there or what it was, but we were treated very nicely, and I hope our fans were the same to them. But yeah, they were way too many of them. Long answer for that, but it was tough. And we've sat around the front office trying to figure out how, are there certain ways that we can manipulate it a little better? But when the tickets get sold and it's in your hands, that's your property to do whatever you wish to do with it. And that's the story. So I'm glad you were at the game and not selling your ticket to a Cubs fan. Yes, sir.
Bob, thanks for coming.
Yes.
For some reason, I enjoyed this talk more than anyone you've given here, so good job.
Thank you. It helps when you win the American League Championships.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Question, you mentioned the White Sox and what they're doing with some of their personnel.
Yes.
If we lose Napoli, any chance of getting Abreu?
Yeah, I don't know if they would give him up only because he is signed to what they would consider a nice affordable deal, and he's still relatively young, and they need some pieces in a major city like that to keep people interested in their baseball team. I don't know if we're ready to give up as much as we did for Andrew Miller in our farm system, to deplete the farms at the top levels to give a Bradley Zimmer away or a Craig Allen or somebody of that nature. Right now, I'm not so sure we're ready to do that. It'll be interesting if Chris does do that, but I'm not so sure. We can fill our outfield needs from within. It may not be April of 2017, but it might be at some point during the 2017 season. The two gentlemen I just mentioned, Mr. Allen and Mr. Zimmer, are highly regarded prospects in baseball, and both are terrific outfielders, so we'll see. We had Tyler Naquin come through on that topic. One of the things I think that was an organizational win for us more than anything this season is out of our 25-man roster, 20 of our players played in our farm system. Doesn't mean they were drafted by us, like Corey Kluber was acquired when he was a double-A pitcher or a single-A pitcher and played through our farm system for a few years before becoming a Cleveland Indian. So 20 of our 25-man roster went through our player development system. I think out of the 20, I think the number was 11 were drafted by the Cleveland Indians, homegrown. And that's a wonderful sign, because we can't go out and buy a pitcher for $30 million a year. We have to develop our own. And the trend of that many people being a part of a World Series team is a real good sign that we're doing something right. Our starting rotation this past year had a total payroll of about $15-16 million. David Price of the Boston Red Sox alone made $31 million last year. Justin Verlander made $27. Now, there's two ways to look at that. You could either look at it as being smart businessmen and knowing who to spend your money on, or you can say the Dolans, oh, here we go, the ownership won't spend money. Were the Tigers in the World Series? If they had 4 straight winning seasons? Nope. Were the Red Sox in the World Series? Nope. So it's the same thing we say year in and year out. It's not how much money you spend. It's who you spend your money on. And that's the most important thing, and we think we can do that as well as anybody to keep us winning and winning. Yes, sir.
Bob, I heard that you were talking to Encarnacion.
Yes.
Is that, can you comment on that?
Yeah, well, other than the fact that, Chris at the winter meetings, it's interesting. When I first started in this game in '79, everybody looked forward to the winter meetings because it was, you hate to keep saying back in the old days, but it was all the old-time scouts and all the old guys involved in the game would sit around the lobby of the hotel and tell all their war stories, and it would just be a wonderful time. Now the game in the winter meetings is agents show up to promote and try to sell their player. So Encarnacion's agent will jump from suite to suite trying to figure out. He turned down $80 million over 4 years from the Blue Jays. So he already said no to $20 million a year for 4 years. So we sat and talked to him about a contract. They'll go talk to others. It'll be interesting to see. Boston was a team. They just signed Mitch Moreland out of Texas as their first baseman. So whether or not they're going to go and jump on a huge contract after doing what they did with Chris Sale and a few others, would they add another huge contract for a DH? Be interesting to see who else is out there that Carnacion is, talking to. But we're in the mix. One thing that Buster Olney on ESPN said last night was that we are in on every discussion of every slugging first baseman that is out there. And hopefully one of them will land in our lap. Just understand, last year, you didn't get too excited that Rajah Davis and Mike Napoli and Juan Uribe and Marlon Byrd were our 4 off-season signings. Right? You didn't get all that excited about it, but they were pretty darn good. Juan Uribe, even in only his half a year, had an incredible impact inside that clubhouse on kids like Jose Ramirez on how to be a professional athlete. And he just, too old, couldn't play. If we weren't a championship caliber baseball team, Juan Uribe's playing for us all 6 months. But we were trying, obviously, to win a World Series title, and we couldn't have him take up a space on the baseball team. So for other teams, he would have played. For us, we couldn't have him. Marlon Byrd, the PED use, those sting when you sign a player who cheats you like that. But obviously, Mr. Napoli and Mr. Davis made huge impacts on this baseball team. Understand our guys are smart enough. We can go out and find guys who can fill in around our core to be effective players for us, to keep us as one of the teams. I think you'll see us be picked to win our division, which we should be, and be a team that should battle. Now the Red Sox, everybody has already anointed the Red Sox as getting to the World Series next year, and the best team in the American League, as they've won the offseason already. But we've seen it a lot. People who win the offseason don't necessarily win in October. So we're in on all those discussions. One more and then we go. Yes, sir.
What's your gut feeling about Michael Brantley?
Michael Brantley, see him every day in the clubhouse. He and Terry going through rehab. Terry had hip replacement surgery, so Terry's got 2 new knees, a new hip on the right side, so he only needs one on the left to truly be bionic. And Michael Brantley is working out every day doing his rehab. He should be ready when we go to Goodyear. He should be ready to just jump in and be a baseball player again, do everything asked of him, all his baseball activities. And we won't know, obviously, till mid-March or so, after he has a chance to play 4 or 5 days in a row and see how everything's going. But just think about getting Carrasco, Salazar, and Michael Brantley back of our own. That's like making huge free agent signings in the offseason. To add a player the caliber of Michael Brantley back to left field on our baseball team would be a real boost for everybody. He's loved within that clubhouse, and he's one of the premier players in all the games. So again, we love where we're sitting. We're coming off a whole lot of fun. Remarkable. It still stings a little bit, as we all know. That's part of having a passion for what we do and who we root for. But one thing you can sit back and understand, that it's not a one-year wonder, that this is a team built not just for 2017, but for years beyond. So we look forward to seeing you as often as we possibly can at Progressive Field. Keep watching on TV, listening on the radio. We're going to have some fun this coming year. So thank you very much. Always appreciate being here.
Thanks, Bob. And maybe trite, but the games are won and lost and played on the field, not on the newspaper pages. So, I think we all agree we've got a team that plays well between the lines.